Well, welcome to Report Writers Group. We are going to get started, and just a brief thing that this is a re-recording of week one as the system did not record our session. So, oh, yes, slideshow from beginning. There we go. Now, so I'll start again. This is week one. Welcome. We are in the Report Writers Group session for training and learning report writer in Sage 100 Contractor software. I'm Jim Schuett, your instructor, and we are recording each session. They'll be available to you probably by the next day. I just love that curtain effect, but I promise that only one during the session. This year is yours. What will you do with it? Well, right now you are doing something with your new year, and that is worthy of congratulations to you. You are learning something new, and I promise you that it will be very useful to you as you go forward in your work, whether in this job or the future. Now, we'll take a minute to do introductions, and since we are re-recording this, no one is attending at the moment. But we did have Dina, Mallory, and Rhonda here, and they took a minute or two to just tell a little bit about themselves. We're so glad to have each of them in this session. Again, I'm Jim Schuett, and the author of How to Write Custom Reports. I hope you've had a chance to take a quick look through my book. There are 6 things that I'd like you to be aware of because they are important for you to know so that you can use them and utilize the book to its fullest extent. First of all, the table of contents. This is like an index where you can find everything that you need in the book. This section here, this is just a little piece of it. There's actually 3 full pages of table of contents. You'll notice that they're numbered, so they're easy to find. There also are page numbers on the right side, which aren't showing here. So that's very, very detailed. As you can see, entering lines, entering boxes, entering a logo, all things that you will need to know and obviously search for when you want to look it up. So that's the table of contents. Each page is very well illustrated. I've taken many steps to make sure that everything is understandable, whether you're a visual learner or otherwise. Um, I'm sure that this is going to be a good type of instructional material for you. It's got steps that go 1, 2, 3 or 1, 2, 3. It also has pictures and over here also pictures. So the whole book is illustrated like this, and you'll find it, I'm sure, well, uh, well for your use. The next part is primary tables. The primary tables are very important. When you are deciding on a primary table, you have to know or find out what other tables and fields link to it or connect to it. And normally you'd have to go in and click on the primary table and go over and click on each of these other tables like um, uh, AP invoices or subcontracts and things like that. Or inside, there are other tables that um, are subsequent to the table above it here. And then inside those are the fields inside those tables. And so having this expanded listing of the most used 41 primary tables is very crucial and important for you to be sure to utilize. It'll save you much time, and in choosing your primary table, you'll find out soon that it's important to choose the correct one because things, if they don't connect here, you either have to use an SQL type statement to make a connection, or sometimes you'll find out that no matter what you do, the types of things you wanted to show in the report will not. As an example, I had a client who um, just recently who wanted a job cost report. So after their guidance, I made the report in the job cost primary table. And then after it was finished and showed him the results and gave him the report, he found out that the the jobs that don't have job costs won't show because it is a job cost table. And so that's the type of thing you need to be aware of. And by the way, I rewrote the report for him in the accounts receivable table, which is the jobs table. And then I had to use SQL statements to connect all the job costing data because the job costs are not in here. Anyway, so quite important to choose the right primary table. And these are expanded for your use in the book. Three more things. There's a couple sample reports in the book showing you the modify report section after it's completed and then the results of that report so that you can just see a sample of these two items so that you can see uh, how that looks and how that works. Now, all Sage report calcs, what does that mean? Okay, Sage has a bunch of reports in the system, a lot. I went through and opened up every report and every functional formula, every formula in each report, I copied and pasted each formula into an Excel spreadsheet. And then from that, I created this chart thing that separates all of the things by the primary table and the report number that formula in that primary table is. Why? Now, why did I do that? Well, I wanted it so that when you're looking at a report that you want to do and you're not quite sure how to provide a formula that's going to work, you can look in here and see another job or another report that actually is using that same kind of a formula for that report. So you can go in and copy that formula and put it in your report and see if it works. It should. Uh, and so how did I get that? Well, one time, quite some time ago, I was visiting a client on the East Coast for a one-day meeting. I lived on the West Coast at the time. And in my efforts to get home, it took me 5 days in 4 different airports to get home. It was really a bad week for the airlines. Anyway, so what did I do during that time? Well, I said, let's be productive. I can look up well, anyway, you know what I did. I copied and pasted and created this during that 5 days. Um, I probably never would have done it any other way. But anyway, that's there for you. And that's a great resource. And now the last one, the database resource. In your Sage menu, I think it's 13.6 or 13.7, you can print the database format, but it doesn't come out looking like this. I reformulated that printout to include all these columns um, so that it's much easier to choose what you're looking for. Anyway, that's the last number of pages in the book, quite a number of pages. And so this is very important. You'll use this almost every time you are writing a report. Very, very important. So anyway, that's uh, the highlights of my book. I want you to be sure and know these things so that you're aware of them and can use them. So many people do just what they've learned, you know, to do this, okay, and then do that, and there's so much more here for you. So anyway, let me go on. Okay, let's have some fun. I like to do some tips and tricks about using Sage Contractor, things that uh, you probably didn't know, and that will help you in using Sage. I know that in my 22 years of doing this and my hundreds of clients that I've worked with, I'd say most of them did not know these things. So this is kind of fun. Anyway, have you ever heard of the wildcard search or the triple escape or finding history in Sage? Let's take a look at these. Okay, the wildcard search. There are a number of fields that have setup screens. Job has a setup screen in the 3.5 menu. Vendors have a setup screen. Employees have a setup screen. Those types of fields are used in other things like uh, invoicing and time cards and things like that. So if you're trying to look up a job number, um, you click into, let's say if it's an invoice type of screen, click in the job number screen field and type in a couple letters that describe part of what you're looking for, and then type in an asterisk and then hit the F4 key. Again, asterisk after your letters and then F4. And what that does is it'll give you a list, like down here, of, let me see here, of the types of things. No, that's not it. It'll give you a list of the types of things that match those letters that you typed in. And so that is a great search tool for finding things. Employees, vendors, anything that had a setup screen. So that's the wildcard search. Okay, the triple escape. You have your menu in Sage that usually gets stretched out because you're using this one and then that one and opening them up. For years, I went and clicked the little plus signs in front to get that shrunk until I found out that the easy way to shrink this up is click in it once and then hit the escape key 3 times. And that'll shrink it right up and you're on your way. I can't tell you how much time I wasted doing that. Anyway, I was so glad to hear this one. Next, we have the finding history in Sage. Now, this is true of most screens, but not all. If you go up to either view or sometimes options and click, you'll find something that pops up that says record history or field history. Click on one and you'll come down and it'll give you a listing, in this case, of the record history of the screen that you're in. You can also do this one, and that's field history, which will give you that kind of information. And so that's a quick way to take a look at history to find out, what happened, um, and research some things. So that's a good thing. Okay, let's go on. Now we're going to need to take this elephant. Whoa, that's a big guy. One bite at a time. So we've got quite a things to do in this session, and I've got a list here, and after we accomplish each one, we're going to uh, bring this back up and show you where we are in this list. Okay, so where do we start? We're going to jump right in and go to menus 13. So there's 13, and number 3, that's report writer. And when you click 13.3, this is the screen that pops up, and it's going to ask you to decide what kind of launch you want, and we're going to start with a blank report. And so this is how we go from here to a finished product that looks really nice like that. Now I'm going to give you a little video and have that tell you a story here. Oh, there's that elephant again. One more. There we go. Hi, we're going to take just a moment and just start a report from scratch so you can get a feel for what this is going to be like. So in Sage, I'm in the sample company. I'm going to scroll all the way down to review and reporting and report writer number 3. So 13.3 is the menu, and we're going to start with a blank report. This is just a sense so you can get a feel for what we're going to be tackling and really how easy it is. There's a couple things that we need to do. First, one of course is the title of the report, so we're just going to say a test report. And the form, we're just going to use the standard form, which is system.report. We'll get into how come I know that and how you will know that as we go along. And now, the key thing when doing a report is choosing the primary table. Well, let's see, what are we going to do today? Let's take a look at some tables, and that'll help us decide. Okay, let's do accounts receivable. So that's jobs. And what that tells us is we're using the primary table of accounts receivable where jobs are set up. That means that inside whatever we do, it's going to be related to jobs. If we are looking for something outside that, we may not be able to get to it because the primary table rather dictates what access we have. Not completely, but you'll see as we go along. And so I'm going to just click down here and enter in. I'm going to go up here to insert fields from a list. This is the list from accounts receivable. Let me make this bigger. And I also have access to these other tables when I'm in. This is the primary table, so these are tables that connect to the primary table and would have easier access to the fields that are in those. But right now we're just going to do something simple. We're going to click on job number here in the detail row, and then I'll come over here and do job name. Now that'll take up some space. So what I'm going to do is come over here, and what else do I want? Okay, let's say just want to know what state it's in. And for a beginning, let's just do that. Okay, now I'm going to move this over. Once I move it over, this will only go to there because I'm moving this into its space, and this stops it. And so right now I'm going to come up to heading and say, okay, job number, job name, and state. Now I want them to look nice and equal, and so when you click on a field, let me find one that, none of these are going to do that, but when you click on a field, it's either left or right adjusted, meaning it starts at the left side or it starts at the right side. And so for this one, I want it to start at the left side, and so I'm coming up here to the left, align text to the left button, and I click that. And so it was already there, and if I click to the right, watch this now. See, it goes to the right, and you can see there's a little extra space here. But I actually want it to be to the left, and the state also to the left. Now that those are set, I'm going to align these to these. And so, again, I want that to align to the left. And this is already to the left, you can see. And this one, I'm not sure, so let's just click to the left. Okay, now, Since this is going to be on the left side, I'm going to move it over here and I'm going to click down here. And if I hold down the control key, and we'll go through all of this, I just want you to get a sense. I'm going to hold down the control key, and these are both clicked, and now when I click this one, wait, I got too many here, there and there, and now I'm going to come down here and align both of these to the left. You can't see this one down here because it's covered, but it's going to scoot over there to the left. So these two line up. You can see the left margin there is aligned. Now here too. And the key is hold down the control key when you're doing this, and then the one that you want the two of them to match to is the one that you right click, go down to align left or right, and click. And then this one aligns to the one that you did that to. And the same thing here. So I'm going to align left. Okay. So let's see what we've done. Now, I don't need a second detail line, so I'm just going to get rid of that. The extra heading line is okay. I could come in here and just draw a line to let the headings show that they're headings and separate. Now I'm going to save this. Now the file name, I can either give it the file name of a test report, or I can give it a menu number. Right now I'm just going to do a test report. And these two need to match if you're going to do it this way. And so I'm going to save it as a private and save. Now I'm going to go find it. Well, since it's not a menued item, it's going to end up being in the 13.4 report printing area. So we're going to open that up and take a look here. Once it's there, okay, now we're going to get this all the way to the top, and I can type in an A for the A and come down to a test report. There. Looks like I've done this before. Okay, so there's the one that we just did. And I'm going to open that up to be sure that's it. Yes, it is. Now, let's just run it. Ah, no selection criteria. Well, how about that? Well, this is a sample company, so it'll be okay because it's not a big database. And so there we are. There's the report. Here's the title. Here are the job numbers, the job names, and the states. So this is just a glimpse of, it really is easy. All you need to know is a few quick things to get started. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to get started with a few things, get you familiar with the whole scenario, and go from there. Hi, we're going to take... Okay, so here's our elephant again. So we've started a new report in the menu 13.3, and we're going to move on to some specifics about how we did that, in what we did in that report. We'll do report title and subtitle, and so that's what we're going to do now. There are three things that we worked in that report, and that's the title, the report form, and the primary table, and we're going to cover those a little more in depth right now. So here we are. The elephant is back in the room, and there he is. And so let's go. Okay, number one, the title. If you look up here, the title is the main statement of the report. The subtitle gives more details about the report. The title can have two parts. It doesn't have to have the subtitle. Now, the title usually is in larger, bolder letters at the top right corner. like invoice or subcontract or something like that. The subtitle gives you more details, like if it's a job, then we're going to do by phase, by cost code, for instance. So the subtitle gives you more information about either the grouping or what's more in the report, so you can differentiate between other reports with a similar title. So let's take a quick look at this. Here's what the job title and subtitle can look like. So we've got right here, we've got AP invoice process review, and this one has AP invoice list by vendor with secondary payee or whatever else you need to put in. Now, this little thing right here is called a tilde, and that is what separates the title from the subtitle. So where is that? Okay, that's right here on your keyboard. It's that little squiggly line, and you probably have to do a shift to get to that key to print that. So that's what that is. And here's an example of the top of a report where you have the title part, and at the bottom of the report you might have the title and the subtitle down here, so you can see what makes that up the type of report that it actually is. I'll talk a little bit more in a few minutes about this part, the minus or the dash 1D or whatever is there. We'll get to that. And so this is just another example, different placements. Here's the logo, and you could have these two things and the job number when that's the key item that's being used. So that's the title. Okay, let's go on. We're going to take a look at choosing the report form, which is here in this. And report form is a selection that you can do a drop-down list with this arrow and choose what report form you want to use. Now, it may be that a report already has one hard-coded in, which is fine, or you can change it to some other thing, and then it's hard-coded, so you don't have to search for it each time. Let's go. Okay, so you've got your list here of reports, and here is where the report form shows up. And if it's got a dot report or dot report underscore land, that means that you're going to get a listing. If you search, you can get a listing of all the things that have dot report, which would give you quite a list. And it's like having an asterisk beforehand. And so here's the list. If you had clicked on the down arrow, you get a list of things. Now, system.report is a standard one that Sage provides. And I knew that, so I typed it in already without having to go through this process. But this is where you choose the report form you're going to use with a report. I'm a little slow with the arrows, but that points those out too. So there we go. All right. Now, the report form, what is it? The report form itself is not the whole report. It's only really half. It's the top part and the bottom part, like the header and the footer. It's the piece of paper with the letter in between. Now the gray box in the report form is the actual custom report. That's where the custom report info goes. Now it doesn't always mean just a title and a logo. Here's an example of stuff that can go on a report form, and then the gray box provides the other data that you want to show or flow to this. A report form can be a subcontract. You might have a simple front page and then number of pages afterwards that give you the subcontract or the contractual data. Now, there's so many things that you can use a report form for, but basically it's the piece of paper that the custom report goes onto. In my book, pages 16 through 43, you'll find so much more detail on the report form and also the illustration in the book. And so be sure you spend a lot of time, studying those areas. Let's see what else we're going to do here. Oh, yes. Uh, when you need to edit a report form, say you're in the report, you come up here to edit and report form, and that'll take you to report form design. Okay, so that's report form. Now we're going to talk a little bit about primary tables. Now, hi there. I like this guy. Primary tables are the most important. Let me repeat that. The most important thing or choice that you make right now. And I described a little bit earlier, about the importance of choosing a primary table that allows you to connect easily to the data you want to show up. Let me go into this a little further here. We're going to talk a little bit about primary tables. I do a lot of space to that and show you the expanded table listings, but also talk about the importance of the primary table. These are some of the expanded ones that I talked about. This is a primary table. This is a table that is subtable to that. And these are tables that are subtable to that, which is a subtable to that. And you need to open them up and see these are the fields. These are the fields inside these tables. And so by opening these up for you, it makes it so much easier for you to assess what's connecting to these primary tables and can you get the data that you want when you're choosing it. Okay, we'll spend more time later on the primary tables, but let's go on to an existing custom report. Now, we're going, if you have, you might have already done this, chosen an existing report and making a change to it so that you tweak it a bit so it does more like what you want rather than the canned report that Sage put out. So let's see here. So let's take a look at menu 312 and report number 21. And we're going to take a look at making a change here. And let's see what we're going to do. First of all, we're going to take a look at adding groups to this so that you can separate the info into groupings. Now, what is a group? First of all, you have a maximum of 3 groups that you can use in Sage. You don't have to use them. You don't have to use all 3, but they are there. And they have to be in a certain order. But what is a group? It's a field that you want to have subtotals to. And so that's what grouping does. Let's get a little deeper here. We're going to add some groups to the report. Let's take a look. So when you want to add a group to a report, this is the grouping icon, the define grouping and sorting. Oh, there he is. Okay, and so this is the screen where you choose your grouping. these are the tables, and these are the fields that are in these tables. If you click on a table, oops, I didn't mean to click that. If you click on a table, those are the fields in that table. If you click on this table, these will change to the fields that are in those tables. So uh, anyway, we want to add a, a job to the report. And so if we click here on, this is the table, this is the field, we want job number to be our first group in the report. So we're going to click that and it'll show up here. And then let's say we want phase to be the second group. So we click on phase and that'll show up there. And then we want invoice date to be the third group. And again, you don't need all three. You don't even need any of them if you don't want them. You'll learn what works best for the report that you're working on at the time. Okay, so let's take a look. Group 1 is by jobs. Group 2, then within the jobs, it'll be phases. And Group 3, within the phases are the dates. So the flow will look like this when we get to that point here. So these are called bands, or I call them rows. This is where you determine what each row is going to be made up of. You've got the heading rows, the detail rows, and the total rows, and some no print rows. Let's go on here to group 1. And also, this doesn't have any grouping right now because there's no grouping rows. That's what we're going to add. Okay, you can see that these are added here. And to add a band or a row, you click on the band, and then you go up here to the arrow and click on that, and that will add another one above it of the same type. So if you click on detail and you click this, you'll get another detail one above it. If you want to change that new one that's detailed to something else, you'd use the down arrow here and change that to one of the other types. So we'll be probably doing that right now, showing you how to do those. And I have a quick video for that, so let's take a look. Okay, now we're going to add those rows that we've just discussed. We're going to go to detail. That's the one that exists that we want to put them above. So we'll click detail. Then we'll go up to the icon with the arrow to add. We'll add 1. And see, there it is. 2 and 3. So here's the original. Now we've added 3 rows. Now we're going to change these to the group names. So we're going to come over here, click the down arrow and make that group 1, group 2, and guess what? Group 3. There we go. And now we have those all set. We do need to discuss a bit about the row order. Very important, the structure of this column of rows. You have headings if you use them. And of course, you don't have to use any of these, but when you do use them, they have to be in a certain order. Headings first, groups 1, and then 2, and then 3, and then detail. And we'll go beyond detail later to the subtotals, but we'll just leave it at this for now. And the next thing we need to do is to add some fields. Let's do that. But now we're done with this video and we'll go forward. Thank you. Okay, now we're going to add. Okay, so now we've added some groups to your report, and now we're going to add some fields to your report. Okay, we've added the rows. You can see group 1, 2, and 3. So we're going to do some fields. Let's do that. You click in a spot, and then you come up here to this icon, which is add a field, and click on that, or insert field. Here you can see that right there. And this icon brings up this screen, which has your tables and your fields. And we're going to add job, so we click on job. And we're going to do another little video here. We're going to get started on doing the adding of fields. And so before we get started on that, I just want to review where we are. This is report 31221. I've saved it to the 13.4 menu so we could work on it, because you can't do anything in one of the standard Sage reports and save it. You have to save it as something else. And so I'm saving it as report writers group, and then the location that it originally was, and then the name, and -3A. I'll get to the 3A type stuff in a little bit as to why, but now let's just keep going. Now we added the grouping, group 1, 2, and 3, and those were job, phase, and invoice date. So now we're going to go ahead and add some fields as the next step in this process of learning how to write reports. So remember job, phase, and invoice date, group 1, group 2, group 3. So job, these are just typing in text statements. Phase, oop, there we go, and invoice date. Now I'm going to group, I'm going to hold the control key down and capture these three, because I want to do a couple things. One is I want to make them all bold, all left, no, actually all right, and I'll tell you why. Okay, so they're all right adjusted, and that's because this first item, record number, is right adjusted, and I want them to match into that column structure. And so now I'll click on, I'm going to hold the control key down and click on the one that I want them to right adjust and match to. And so now I'm going to do the left click, scroll down, align right, and now they all line up, as you can see, with this column. Let me go through that again real quickly. Click on one, and then hold the control key down and click on the other ones that you want. Then right click the mouse, properties. You can do bold, and I did align right, so all of them went right, and I clicked OK. Then I'm going to hold the control key down again and right click on the field I want them to right click, I want them to right adjust and match, and then I did align right, and that got them to align together. So that's done. Now let's add in the fields, the actual fields, not just the field labels. So we're going to go up here to insert fields and job. Now I actually do want the job with the job name all in one, so I don't have to add job and then a separate one as job name. Phase, this is a little trickier. I'll explain why in a little while. We're going to go with phase. That's just phase number. And invoice date. So we're going to go up here and click on invoice date. Now these are the groupings. Now these need to all be left adjusted, even though invoice number, well, invoice number can also be left adjusted so they all line up, which is nice to make them visually pleasing, but also easy to follow. That's crucial in report writing. Now I'm going to do the arrow that sends these over to right about where I want one of them to be, right here, that much difference. I want them all to line up with this one, but I want them all also to left adjust. So I'm going to go up here to the align text to the left and click that. So now they're all on the left sides. Now I'm going to hold the control key down and right click the mouse. Whoop, right click the mouse. Okay, yeah. Let's get out of there. I'm going to do this, 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 and this, and right click the mouse without the control key down. And I want them to left adjust all to this one. And you can see that they have. After I've shown my incompetence here. Okay, so those are all lined up. Let's, and those are the groupings. Those are the main things that we want to do. I'm also going to bold these three because they are headings. So let's do bold there. Okay, now let's take a quick look at what we've accomplished just in adding 6 fields, 3 text and 3 actual fields inside Sage. So we're going to go ahead and save. Okay, now's a good time. Let's tell you why I do this. Okay, in Sage, when you are doing, especially if you're doing formulas, Sage, if it doesn't like what you just did and you go to save it, sometimes it'll just entirely wipe out your whole report. Gone, totally gone. And I can't tell you how many times that's happened to me. And so I've always gotten to the habit of every time I make a change, any slight change, I go to the next letter and save. And this has to match, so V and save. And so now you're going to come over here and see when I click this, we'll have saved it from 3A to 3B. Okay. Now when that happens, I come up here to default, save as default report so that it'll always jump to this one. And we're going to go and test this. Now, job 201 has phases, so we'll test it with that one. I'm going to take out the dating. Whoop. And then we're going to just take a look and see what we've done. Okay. Hey, that's looking pretty good. Now you see about the lining up of things, how much easier it is to read. Some of the Sage reports that come, there's a field here and 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 here, and they're just all over the place. There's no flow to it. Talk about making a report readable is so important. Look at the flow, and your eye has to glance at it and know exactly where to go. That's what lining up columns and bolding and doing all of that is so important. And we're not done with this yet on that part. But anyway, let's take a look. We've got job, phase, and invoice date. Now, this is phase 0. We'll have to say 0 none on there, but that doesn't come automatically. phase one. And with phasing, you have to do a separate formula for the name of the phase. But anyway, we've got the phase number in there. And so we've got invoice number, and look at the grouping. We've got job, phase, and invoice date. So invoice date 125. Okay, anything with 125 is in this row. Okay, invoice date 225. And then we go into the phase one, and the invoice dates. Now, whether the invoice date is a good choice doesn't matter. We're just doing this to show grouping, and this was a quick and easy way to do it. So I'm very pleased with how this turned out. Let's take a look and see if there's anything else we need. Yes, let's do a couple other quick things to make these even more readable. Okay, I'm going to put a box around job and maybe even phase. To do that, though, I'm going to need to add a row above and below and make them half height. Now I know that's a 2, so we'll change that now to 1. So now there's space on the top and the bottom of this, and I'm going to go over here to draw boxes. It's going to be a long box, and I'm going to come over here to the end, to the corner, and take it all the way here to the end. You don't have to be too concerned about how exacting that is when you're drawing it, because we'll fix the details when we go into properties. Now I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to do that and one below it. Now watch, if I change that to 2 first, sometimes it won't let me minimize or make it a half. Let's see if it does. It did. Okay, so we're good. Now we'll draw another box on this one. I'm going to make it purposely shorter. Okay. Okay, now we're going to go into the white arrow. That's the select multiple objects by drawing icon. So I'm going to click that, and now I can capture lines, boxes, and sometimes just about everything. Without clicking that, you generally can't get into properties on these types of things. Right now we're going to go into properties here and come up, and now let's take a look. We've got line width. I always go with 1 for a standard line width, and I want it to be at the top on 1, on the left at 1, and what I'm talking about is the height of the top bar, the left, how far over the left starts, and the width, how far over it goes here. I happen to know that 720 is the right number for to get to about 7.5 inches. Now, height for the boxes like this, anywhere from 1920, and what that is, the height, it means how tall this is. I'm going to go with 20. And one other thing, I want some color, so I'm going to put color in there. Now, I'm going to go with the blue at the top. And now watch these things when I click OK. See? Now I think 20 is going to be a little too much, so let's go to 19. You'll see why in a minute. So 19, it gives it a little more space. Now there's usually one job per report, so blue is okay. It's a little bit brighter, bolder. But you're going to have more of the group 2 boxes. Let's come in here and do pretty much exactly the same thing here. 1, 1. That way they all start at the same spot and end at the same spot. Now, this one also should be 19. Sometimes you can make it 18, and that way it'll be a little smaller than the one above it, and that can be good. Now this one is going to be a little more frequent, and so this is what I usually use for something that is on there more for color. I don't want it to be too boldy, so we're going to do moccasin and there. Now let's see what difference that has made. I think you'll see quite a difference. Save. Now I haven't changed any formulas, so I'm not going to change the A, B, C, D part. But if I've added a formula or changed a formula, boy, oh boy, that's for sure to do. So we'll close this. Now let's take a look at what this report looks like. We're really getting into some of the meaty things of report writing right here. Some of the things that can really make a difference in your reports. Now, I should have done this the last time, but I didn't. So I have to redo this, but I'm going now to up here to save printing defaults. Since I'm going to be doing this a lot as I test it and keep adding things to it. So why should I have to keep adding the same things in over and over again? And so going up to defaults, save printing defaults, click that, and then I almost always save as the default, even though I've already done that. So now we're going to see if there's anything else. Status. Now, you know, when you click in a field, any field, if you look down here at the bottom left, it'll tell you what it wants in that field. So many people using Sage don't even know that that's there. So we don't want any voids. So we're going to say less than 5. Okay, I think we could say current balance is not 0. That way it'll keep out anything except the things that have data. But I'm not going to do that right yet. So anyway, now that I've changed the less than 5, I'm going to save this again. Now we're ready to take a quick look and see what this is doing. And you'll see a huge difference with this report. Okay, one other thing I didn't do is spacing the actual wording so that it doesn't hit the bottom of those bars. So look at this. Isn't that looking better? Okay, let's make that little fix real quick. So this one wasn't too bad. Let's take a look and see where that is. So that's at 3. I usually want them at 2. I don't want them at 1. They'll bump the top of the other thing. So 2, and then I will click on these. Anything else? And because this one's at 2 and I want them all to be there, I'm going to right click properties and align top. What that does is it brings everything up to that 2 level. Where are we here? 3. So I want that at 2. And now I'm going to make everything come up there. Even these should all be the same at whatever. That way. Okay. So now let's take another look and you'll see the difference that that makes in how these rows look. Then we'll be done with this video because that's quite a chunk I've added. So let's take a look. Better. See, now there's space. It's not bumping into the line at the bottom, and it's not encroaching too high. And we haven't added the description of phase, but I'm going to save that till later. That's not what we're talking about right now. And so going to page 2, you can do it in here. It's easier to go from page to page here than scrolling. So I think that's a good end of this video. But I just want to stress how important it is to watch and make it readable, easy to flow. That's so important. And so now we've added the last 4 items here in this. Let's see what we're going to do here. Okay, there's the elephant. He's down to size now. We've done quite a bit in this video, and we're going to um, finish up by asking you to do an assignment. It's called homework, but let me explain a little bit about homework. Homework is so important. When you do homework, in this case, when you are writing a report, you are going to figure out what you don't know. That's why you do homework, at least in this class. You can hear it in the lessons, and then you go and do it, and you can realize, what was that? Now, how come this isn't working? That's why you do homework. So you find out what you don't remember or didn't catch or don't know. That's the important part of homework. And when you find something that you don't know, and it's during the middle in between the 2 classes, just call me, email me, ask me, how do I do this? How I want you to learn and learn as quickly as you can. And I'm here for you during the middle of between the classes to answer these kinds of questions as well. So let's take a look at the assignment. I want you to choose a report, your choice, simple, just a simple report, and do what we did in this class. And then send me your report by Monday night. Um, today's Wednesday, and so that gives you a few days to do it. And over the weekend, work on it and just have some fun figuring it out. You'll have this video shortly, and you'll be able to contact me in the middle between to ask questions. So uh, we're just going to give that assignment. We don't have any time for questions right now. And besides, this is a re-recording, and you're not here to ask the questions. So we're going to go on for that. Now, as report writers, we offer solutions. The solutions to the company's need for good data. With the reports, the right kind of reports, it gives you as a company the information you need to know, are you over budget, under budget? What cost codes are we over or under budget in? If we're under budget or over budget, how can we fix it for future estimates so that we keep getting better and better and better? Anyway, we are solution people. You are the solution for your company's report needs. Okay, I want to thank you for your hard work. The hard work in listening and absorbing, and the hard work that you will do in your homework and each week in the class. I really appreciate your time and your effort, and I know it's a lot and it's complicated, and I'm here for you. So thank you very much. Now, here's just a couple of extra screens of uh, things that you might be able to use or just have fun looking at. Oh, I love this guy. And here's another one that's ideas, and another one guy I like, and I'm all ears, and a little report writer humor. And so it's time for a new chapter in your life, and that's what we're doing here with report writing. And did anybody else bring his thinking cap? Well, the lady did, and of course, the all guys are just sitting there scratching their heads. Anyway, so last one, we've got some of these puzzle pieces that are descriptive, and anyway, you can use these as you like if you need them for anything. So take care, and we'll talk to you next week. Thank you so much.